嗨，周末愉快，我是 Jenny， 欢迎来到 Jenny 周末来闲聊。新年快乐，马年大吉！今天是大年初六，虽然过年假期即将结束，不过我们还是可以聊聊春季旅游规划。说到春天，你第一个想到什么？我猜很多人跟我一样，脑海中马上浮现漫天飞舞的粉色樱花，对不对？赏樱这件事情啊，真的是每年必做的人生清单。日本的樱花季，台湾的阿里山，还有武陵农场，都是超热门的赏花圣地。但你知道吗？很多人每年都说要去赏樱，结果每年都订不到机票，订不到好的饭店，要不然就是去了之后，花都还没开，或者已经凋谢了，真的很可惜。所以今天 Jenny 要来分享超实用的春季旅游规划术，让你今年的赏樱计划完美成真。我们今天要聊三大主题，第一个是赏樱路线怎么规划最顺畅，第二个是订机票和饭店的小技巧，第三个是拍出美美樱花照的摄影秘诀。准备好了吗？一起出发。首先我们来聊赏樱路线规划这件事。很多人第一次去日本赏樱都会犯同一个错误，就是想一次跑太多地方，觉得东京、大阪、京都全部都要去，结果每天都在赶行程，累得半死，花也没好好看，这样真的太可惜了。聪明的赏樱计划，其实要先搞清楚一件事，就是开花时间。日本气象单位每年都会发布被称为樱花前线的预测资料，从南到北，开花的时间差了好几个礼拜。什么叫做樱花前线呢？日本的气象机构每年大概1月底到2月初就会开始发布当年的全国赏樱开花预测。这个预测图上有一条随着时间移动的线，就像天气预报的封面一样，代表每个地区的满开时间。基本上的规律是，九州和四国比较早，通常3月中下旬就开花了。关西地区像京都、大阪，大概在3月底到4月初，关东地区的东京也差不多3月底4月初，东北地区的仙台要等到4月中旬以后，北海道的札幌甚至要到4月底到5月初。所以如果你时间弹性，可以用追花的方式规划行程，从南往北走，一路追着花季走，几乎可以连续欣赏2-3个礼拜的樱花。这是真正的赏花高手玩法，不是吗？再来说说怎么选择赏花地点。日本的赏花名所真的超多，光是入选日本100大赏花名所的地方就有100个。如果是第一次去日本赏花，我最推荐的几个地方是这样的。第一个，东京的上野公园，超过1000棵的染井吉野樱，花开的时候像一片粉色云海，而且交通超方便，地铁直达。赏花之后还可以逛博物馆，非常适合第一次赏花的朋友。第二个，京都的哲学之道，大概2公里的步道两侧种满了染井吉野樱，花瓣掉落的时候铺在地上就像粉色地毯，美到无法言语，而且走路就可以欣赏，完全不赶时间。第三个，奈良と吉野山，这里种了大概3万棵的山樱，不是染井吉野，是山樱，颜色偏淡粉白色，和一般的粉红色樱花有点不一样，而且这里的山景加上花景，真的是日本数1数2的壮观，被称为花见圣地，来一次你就懂了。第四个，如果你想要更特别的体验，推荐红前城，这个在青森县的城堡，护城河里倒映着满开的樱花，粉色的花瓣飘落水面，形成所谓的花筏，这个景色太美了，很多摄影师专门为了这个来。好了，说完日本，让我们也来聊聊台湾的赏花选择。很多人不知道，台湾的赏花其实也非常精彩。台湾最有名的当然是阿里山，阿里山的吉野樱花季，通常在3月下旬到4月初，云海加上日出加上粉色的花，那个景象真的是台湾之光。还有武陵农场，在台中梨山那一带，每年2月中到3月初，是武陵农场的富士樱花季，比日本的染井吉野更早开，而且农场里同时有雪山可以远眺，春天的山间景色非常迷人。司马库斯也是近年很热门的选择。 在新竹尖石乡的深山里，有一条20几棵台湾山毛榉合集野樱的步道，因为是部落管制，必须要提早预约进入许可。但正是因为如此，花季期间人潮不会太多，反而有一种宁静的美感。而且 Jenny 要特别推荐一个很多台湾人不太熟悉的赏花目的地，就是德岛县的剑山附近地区和高知县的高知城。高知城的夜间赏花特别有名，因为城墙和护城河的结合，加上夜灯，气氛非常特别。另外，我也想跟大家聊聊，除了染井吉野之外的品种，很多人不知道，日本的樱花其实有将近600个品种。常见的除了染井吉野以外，还有枝垂樱，就是垂枝型的，那种常常下垂的枝条配上粉色的花，真的超优雅。京都的平安神宫和醍醐寺都有超级漂亮的枝垂樱，还有合金樱，这是在静冈县和金町培育出来的品种，开花时间特别早，2月初就开始了，比一般的染井吉也早了整整1个多月，而且颜色更深，粉红色偏桃红，非常鲜艳。如果想避开主流旅游旺季3月才满园的人潮，可以考虑2月去河津看河津樱，那里的沿河步道两侧都是河津，走在里面像在粉色隧道，非常梦幻。说个有趣的小故事，你知道日本赏花的习俗花见最早是什么时候开始的吗？其实花见文化起源可以追溯到大概1300年前的奈良时代，当时贵族之间流行赏梅花，是梅花，不是樱花哦。后来到了平安时代，大约西元900年左右，宫廷文化开始把焦点转向樱花，因为日本古典文学里花这个字本身就特指樱花，可见当时人们对它的喜爱程度。而真正让花见成为平民文化的是江户时代，大约400年前，当时的将军德川吉宗在江户的各地大量种植染井吉野，目的之一就是要让普通百姓也能赏花。上野公园正是当年种植的地点之一，所以现在我们去上野赏花，其实是在延续将近300年的传统，很有历史感，对不对？好，说完了去哪里的问题，现在来谈一个大家最头痛的问题，就是怎么订到机票和饭店。赏花季的机票和饭店简直是兵家必争之地。我跟你说，热门的赏花日期，比如东京满开的那个周末，饭店房间有时候半年前就满了，那到底怎么办呢？ Jenny 有几个实测有效的技巧跟你分享。第一个技巧，提早到不可思议的程度。我说的提早不是提早1个月，是提早6到10个月。日本的 JR 和新干线订票有些需要提前60天开放，但饭店订房，很多大型连锁饭店可以提早1年预订。所以现在是农历新年，明年3月要赏花，就是现在要开始订，等到年底再订，可能已经晚了。第二个技巧，善用订房平台的弹性退款选项。因为赏花要配合天气，天气不好花就不好看，所以订可以免费取消的房间，让自己有弹性空间。先把好房间卡住，之后如果天气预报不理想，可以取消重新调整日期，这个策略非常重要。第三个技巧，考虑平日出发策略。周末的机票通常比平日贵30%到50%，饭店费用也一样。如果可以请假，周3或周4出发，周日回来，这样可以省下不少旅费，而且平日赏花人也少一点，拍照更好拍。第四个技巧，机票比价的时候，不要只看一个平台 ，Google Flights、Skyscanner， 还有各家航空公司官网，都要比较看看。有时候某个平台有特卖，同样的座位可以差到好几千块。而且现在很多航空公司有所谓的机票价格预测功能，会预测你查询的日期，机票是否可能更便宜。这个功能真的很好用。第五个技巧，考虑周边城市进出策略。很多人去关西，都从大阪关西机场进出，但有时候从名古屋或东京进，再从大阪出，机票组合可能更便宜，同时还可以多走一个城市，一举两得。再来说说饭店选择的逻辑。赏花季的饭店，我有一个建议，就是 住在花景附近，不住市区。什么意思呢？比如说要去京都的岚山，就直接住在岚山附近的民宿或旅馆，早上6、7点，在其他游客还没来的时候，你已经在花下面喝茶吃早餐了。这种体验是住在市区饭店的人搭电车过来根本享受不到的。而且很多赏花圣地凌晨或早晨有特别的光线，那个光线让花看起来特别梦幻，但只有住在附近的人才能欣赏到。第6个，介绍几个好用的赏花相关工具和 App。 第一个是 NHK 花见 Map。NHK 每年春天都会推出的赏花资讯地图，可以看到各地的开花状况和预计的满开日期，完全免费，而且资讯非常准确。第二个是 Weather News 樱花预测，是日本气象公司出的，除了开花预测之外，还有各地的实况报告，有一般民众上传的照片，可以及时看到某个地方今天的花况，超实用。第三个是 Google Maps， 这个大家都知道，但是赏花季节的 Google Maps 有个特别好用的功能，就是搜寻目的地的时候，可以看到其他游客最近上传的照片，那些照片有日期标记，你可以看到昨天或今天去的人拍的花况，帮你判断现在值不值得去。第4个工具是 Tabelog， 这是日本版的食评网站。赏花去那些地方的时候，附近的餐厅评价很重要，尤其是在著名的赏花景点附近，很多餐厅会推出期间限定的赏花特餐，提前在 Tabelog 定好位置，可以让整个赏花体验更加完整。另外再补充一个超重要的事情，就是行前功课的深度。很多人去日本赏花，只知道要去上野和新宿御苑，但其实每个城市都有自己隐藏版的赏花名所。比如说东京的6亿园，有一棵超过200年树龄的枝垂樱，那棵老树的气场跟一般年轻的花树完全不同，古老而有力量的美感，这种地方很多第一次去的游客都不知道。还有东京台场附近的滨离宫庭园，是江户时代的宫廷庭园，里面有茶室可以喝抹茶，赏花的同时欣赏传统庭园景观，和东京湾的现代天际线对比，新旧交融的视觉感非常独特。所以建议大家出发前，除了看旅游书和攻略，也可以在 YouTube 搜寻前1年或前几年的赏花 Vlog， 看看别人的真实旅行体验，你会发现很多书上没有写到的真实有趣的细节。好，最后来聊今天最有趣的部分，拍出美美樱花照的秘诀。说到拍樱花，很多人拍出来的照片看起来就是一片白白的或者粉红色的东西，但是跟自己眼睛看到的感觉差好多。为什么会这样呢？原因通常有几个，我来一一说明。第一个原因是过度曝光。花是淡色的，拍花的时候，手机或相机会自动以整个画面亮度为基准测光，结果往往把花拍成白色的一片，颜色完全失真。解决方法很简单，拍照的时候，点击画面上的花朵部分进行测光，然后稍微手动调低曝光值，让花的颜色更准确地呈现出来。第二个秘诀是找光线方向。拍花最好的时间是早上7点到9点，或者下午4点到6点。这2个时段的阳光式测光，会让花瓣产生立体感和透光效果。正午的强烈直射光，会让花看起来很平，缺乏层次感。第3个秘诀就是善用背景。花本身当然很美，但背景更重要。蓝天白云当背景，花的颜色对比更强烈。深色的古建筑当背景，让花看起来更优雅。如果有水面倒影，那就更加分了。所以拍花之前，先观察一下四周，选一个最好的背景角度，再开始构图。第4个秘诀是从低角度仰拍。大部分人拍花都是从正面或者稍微斜拍，但是如果你蹲低一点，从下往上仰拍，以蓝天为背景，花朵和枝条的造型感马上出来了。这个角度特别适合拍垂枝的品种，拍出来有点像古典水墨画的感觉。第5个秘诀，捕捉飞舞的花瓣。当微风吹来，花瓣在空中飞舞，那个画面太美了，但很多人不知道怎么拍。要拍飞舞的花瓣，需要把快门速度设定的快一点，大概以1/1000秒以上。 可以冻结花瓣在空中的位置。如果是用手机，可以选连拍模式，快速拍几十张，然后挑出花瓣位置最美的那一张。第6个秘诀，加入人物，让画面有故事。纯花的照片很美，但加入人物之后，画面马上有了情感和故事性。拍人物站在花树下的时候，让人物不要直视镜头，让他们看着花，或者转身，这样反而更自然更有美感。还有一个很多人不知道的技巧，就是下雨天拍花。很多人下雨天就放弃出去拍了，但其实雨后的花最美。雨滴挂在花瓣上，晶莹剔透，加上水面的倒影，那种氛围是晴天根本拍不到的。而且下雨天游客少，反而可以拍到更自由的构图。说了这么多，最后 Jenny 再补充几个春季旅游的实用小撇步。第1个，赏花季一定要准备行动电源，因为你会一直拍照，一直查地图，手机电量消耗超快，带一个至少1万毫安的行动电源是非常必要的。第2个，穿着方面，春天看似温暖，但早晚温差很大，尤其是在公园或山区赏花，一定要带一件薄外套，可以随时穿脱的那种。另外，赏花常常需要走很多路，穿舒适的步行鞋，比漂亮的高跟鞋重要100倍。第3个，关于花粉症，台湾和日本的春天，空气中花粉很多，尤其是有花粉症的朋友，一定要提前准备抗组织胺的药。日本药妆店也有卖花粉症专用的护目镜和口罩，这些都可以在当地买到。第4个，最被忽略的赏花体验升级术，就是带便当去野餐。日文叫做花见便当，就是赏花时吃的便当。这是日本人的传统习俗，在便利商店或超市买一个好吃的便当，找一棵漂亮的花树下，铺上野餐垫，慢慢享受。这种体验比在高级餐厅吃饭还要幸福。第5个，来分享一个 Jenny 自己觉得非常值得的体验，就是夜间赏花。很多著名的赏花圣地在夜晚会打灯，叫做夜莺。打灯的花和夜空的对比，是白天完全不同的氛围，神秘又浪漫。东京的上野公园，大阪城的护城河旁，这些地方的夜间赏花绝对值得体验。好，今天的春季旅游规划术大概就聊到这里，让我们帮今天的重点做个总结。第1，掌握樱花前线预测，配合开花时间规划行程，不要跟花跑，要让花等你。第2，订机票订饭店要超早，至少6个月前开始动作，选有弹性退款的选项，让自己有应对天气的空间。第3，拍照要注意曝光，找好光线和背景，试试低角度仰拍，雨天也是拍花的好时机。第4，带行动电源，穿舒适的鞋，别忘了花粉症的药，还有带便当去野餐。马年到来，祝大家都能在这个春天成功实现赏花梦想。今天的 Jenny 周末来闲聊就到这里，新年快乐，马年行大运，我们下次见咯。Hey everyone, happy weekend. I am Jenny. Welcome to Jenny Weekend Chat. Happy Chinese New Year. Year of the Horse, everyone. Today is the 6th day of the Lunar New Year. The holiday season is still going strong, and I hope you are enjoying a wonderful break with the people you love. In Chinese culture, the Year of the Horse is associated with energy, freedom, and adventure. The horse is bold and always moving forward. So I thought what better topic for our first weekend episode of the new year than spring travel planning. Because if you want to live the spirit of the horse, booking that dream trip, getting out there to see the world in bloom, that feels exactly right. So today, we are talking about spring travel planning. And yes, we are absolutely talking about cherry blossoms. Because when people say spring travel, 9 times out of 10, they are dreaming of pink petals falling from a blue sky. Am I right? When you think of spring, what comes to mind? I bet for most of you, it is a vision of pink fluffy petals, floating down from blooming trees. Just like in the movies, right? Cherry blossom season is seriously magical. Whether you are dreaming of Japan, or planning to visit Taiwan, this is one of those bucket list experiences that just never gets old. I have talked to so many people about this, and everyone has the same reaction. There is something about cherry blossoms that touches people deeply. Maybe it is the color. That perfect soft pink that feels like it belongs in a dream. Maybe it is the fragility. The way the petals fall with the slightest breeze, reminding us that the most beautiful things in life are also the most fleeting. Or maybe it is the communal joy. People from all over the world, gathering together under these trees, all sharing the same wonder. There is something really special about that. But here is the thing. So many people say every year, I want to go see the cherry blossoms this year. And then every single year, they either cannot get flights, or they cannot find a good hotel, or they finally get there, and the flowers are already gone, or they have not bloomed yet. Total heartbreak, right? I have been there myself. Showing up to a famous flower spot, only to find bare branches. The trees had peaked 3 days earlier, and now it was just regular trees. Slightly embarrassing honestly, but also a very effective teacher. That experience is what turned me into a cherry blossom planning nerd. Because I decided that was never going to happen to me again. And today I am sharing everything I have learned. So today I am sharing my complete guide to planning the perfect spring trip. 3 big topics today. First, how to plan your cherry blossom route. Second, smart tips for booking flights and hotels. And third, photography secrets for stunning cherry blossom shots. Let us go. Alright, let us start with route planning. This is where most first-timers go wrong. The classic mistake is trying to do too much. You think, I want to see Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto all in one trip. And you end up rushing everywhere, exhausted every night, without actually enjoying the flowers. Such a waste. The smart approach starts with one key concept: the cherry blossom forecast. In Japan, weather organizations release what they call the Sakura Front every year around late January or early February. This is basically a prediction map, showing when blossoms will peak in each region. Here is the general pattern. Kyushu and Shikoku in southern Japan bloom earliest, usually mid to late March. The Kansai region, meaning Kyoto, Osaka, and Nara, peaks around late March to early April. The Kanto region, where Tokyo is, also blooms around late March to early April. The Tohoku region, around Sendai, has to wait until mid-April. And Hokkaido up north, including Sapporo, does not see blooms until late April or even early May. So if you have flexible travel dates, you can actually do a Chase the Blossoms trip. Start in the south and work your way north, and enjoy continuous cherry blossom views for 2 or even 3 weeks straight. That is the expert level approach. How cool is that? Now let me recommend some of the best spots. First up, Ueno Park in Tokyo. Over 1,000 Yoshino cherry trees. When they bloom, the whole park turns pink. Super easy to access by subway. And after flower viewing, you can check out the museums nearby. Perfect for first-timers. Second, the Philosopher's Path in Kyoto. About 2 kilometers of walking path, lined with cherry trees on both sides. When the petals fall, they cover the ground like a pink carpet. Absolutely breathtaking. And the pace is so relaxed. You can stroll and enjoy without rushing anywhere. Third, Yoshino Mountain in Nara. About 30,000 Yamasakura wild cherry trees. Not the typical pink Yoshino. These are white and pale pink mountain cherries, combined with the mountain scenery. This is considered one of the most spectacular flower viewing spots in all of Japan. They call it the holy ground of Hanami. Once you see it, you understand why. Fourth, for something really special, check out Hirosaki Castle in Aomori Prefecture. The moat around the castle fills with floating petals, creating what the Japanese call hanekata, which means a raft of flowers. It is absolutely stunning. Photographers come from all over Japan just for this. Now let me also mention cherry blossom spots in Taiwan, because Taiwan has amazing flower viewing too. And for many people in Taiwan, a domestic flower viewing trip is a wonderful option, especially if going to Japan feels like too much planning right now. The most famous is Alishan. Alishan Yoshino cherry season runs from late March to early April. Sea of clouds plus sunrise plus pink blossoms. That combination is uniquely Alishan. It is truly spectacular. The train that runs up the mountain, the Alishan Forest Railway, is an experience in itself. Riding up through the misty mountains in the early morning, arriving just as the sky turns pink with sunrise, and stepping out into a world of cherry blossoms and cloud sea. That is a memory that stays with you forever. Wuling Farm in Taichung is also amazing. The Fuji cherry season there runs from mid-February to early March, even earlier than Japan. You can see cherry blossoms with snow-capped mountains in the background. The combination of the soft pink blossoms against the white-capped peaks of the central mountain range is really breathtaking. And since Wuling is also known for apples and peaches, the whole farm has a wonderful orchard atmosphere in spring. Smangus is becoming increasingly popular too. Deep in the mountains of Shinshu County, Because it is a tribal area with controlled access, you need to book permits in advance, but that means fewer crowds during peak season. And there is something really peaceful and beautiful about it. The indigenous Atayal culture adds a unique depth to what would otherwise just be a flower viewing experience. Spending time there feels like visiting somewhere truly off the beaten path. For those who prefer city convenience, Yangmingshan National Park in Taipei has its own cherry blossom displays in February and March. The park is also famous for calla lilies and azaleas in spring, so you can enjoy multiple flower varieties in a single visit. And it is only about 40 minutes from central Taipei, making it a perfect day trip option. Now I also want to talk about something that most travel guides skip, which is the mental and emotional side of planning a trip, specifically around the anxiety of getting everything right. Here is something I have learned from my own travel experiences. No trip goes exactly as planned. There will always be a flight delay, or a hotel that is not quite what you expected, or an attraction that is somehow closed for renovation, or worst of all from a flower viewing perspective, rain and cold temperatures right during peak bloom. The key is to embrace flexibility, and to let go of the idea of the perfect trip, because the unexpected moments, the wrong turn that leads you to a beautiful hidden alley, the rainy day that makes all the locals duck into a tiny coffee shop, where you end up having the best cup of coffee of your life, those are often the memories you treasure most. Cherry blossoms are actually a perfect metaphor for this. You cannot fully control when they bloom. You cannot make the wind stop blowing the petals. You cannot prevent rain on the day you plan to go, but you can control your attitude and your openness to whatever the moment brings. That is the spirit of Hanami, of genuine flower viewing, not just scheduling an activity, but actually being present, actually seeing the flowers with grateful eyes. I love that this Lunar New Year falls in the year of the horse. The horse in Chinese culture represents freedom, energy, and forward movement. What better spirit to carry into a cherry blossom journey? Be bold. Book that trip. And when you are standing under those blooming trees, put the phone down for just a moment. Look up. Breathe. Feel the petals land on your shoulders. That moment is for you. Nobody else can experience it for you. Okay, now we need to talk about the part everyone stresses about most. Booking flights and hotels. Cherry blossom season accommodation in popular spots is basically a battlefield. I am not exaggerating. For the weekend of peak bloom in Tokyo, some hotels are fully booked 6 months in advance. So what do? Jenny has some tried and tested tips. Tip number 1. Book earlier than you think is reasonable. I am not talking about 1 month early. I mean 6 to 10 months in advance. Many large hotel chains allow bookings up to 1 year ahead. So if it is Chinese New Year right now, and you want to see cherry blossoms in March next year, you should start booking now, not in December. December might already be too late. Tip number 2. Always choose free cancellation options. Cherry blossom viewing depends heavily on weather, and bad weather means bad flowers. So always book hotels with free cancellation. Lock in the room now. If the weather forecast looks bad closer to your trip, cancel and adjust your dates. This flexibility is so important. Tip number 3. Consider traveling on weekdays. Weekend flights are typically 30% to 50% more expensive. Hotels are the same. If you can take some days off work, leave on Wednesday or Thursday, return Sunday, you save a significant amount of money. And there are fewer people at the flower spots on weekdays, which makes for much better photos. Tip number 4. Compare prices across multiple platforms. Google Flights, Skyscanner, and airline websites directly. Check all of them. Sometimes one platform has a flash sale, and the price difference for the same flight can be thousands of dollars. Also, many airline apps now have price prediction features, telling you whether your search dates are likely to get cheaper or more expensive. This is genuinely useful. Tip number 4. Compare prices across multiple platforms. Google Flights, Skyscanner, and airline websites directly. Check all of them. Sometimes one platform has a flash sale, and the price difference for the same flight can be thousands of Taiwan dollars. Also, many airline apps now have price prediction features, telling you whether your search dates are likely to get cheaper or more expensive. This is genuinely useful. Set price alerts for your target dates, and let the apps do the monitoring work for you. One more booking strategy I want to share is what I call the evening check ritual. Airline prices update multiple times a day. Often the best deals appear late at night, around 10 p.m. to midnight local time, or very early in the morning. This might sound obsessive, but if you are trying to save money on peak season flights, checking at different times of day can occasionally surface deals that disappear within hours. I also want to mention travel credit cards. Many credit cards offer airline miles or travel points. If you are planning a big trip, this might be the right time to look into whether a travel rewards card makes sense for you. Some cards offer enough welcome bonus points to cover a significant portion of a round-trip ticket. Just worth considering as part of your planning. Tip number 5. Consider an open-jaw itinerary. For example, flying into Tokyo and out of Osaka. This kind of combination can sometimes be cheaper and lets you cover more ground without backtracking. Plus you get to experience more cities. Win-win. Now, about choosing accommodation. My recommendation for cherry blossom trips is stay near the flowers, not in the city center. What do I mean? If you want to visit Arashiyama in Kyoto, stay at a guest house or ryokan near Arashiyama itself. Early in the morning, around 6 or 7 a.m., before all the tourists arrive, you can be sitting under the cherry trees, having tea and breakfast. That experience is something people commuting from city hotels simply cannot access. Many famous cherry blossom spots have magical morning light. That makes the flowers look incredibly dreamlike. But only people staying nearby get to enjoy it. And while we are talking about spots, let me introduce some cherry blossom varieties. Beyond the classic Suma Yoshino. Because Japan actually has nearly 600 varieties of cherry blossoms. Yes, 600. One of the most elegant is the Shidora Sakura, which is the weeping cherry blossom. The long drooping branches covered in pink flowers look absolutely graceful. Heian Shrine and Daigoji Temple in Kyoto both have spectacular weeping cherry trees. Another variety worth knowing is the Kawazu Sakura. This variety was developed in Kawazu town in Shizuoka Prefecture, and it blooms incredibly early, starting from early February. That is more than a month earlier than regular cherry blossoms. And the color is deeper, more of a vivid pink bordering on peachy red. Really striking. If you want to avoid the main March crowds, consider going to Kawazu in February. The riverside walking path there is lined with Kawazu Sakura trees on both sides. Walking through it feels like being inside a pink tunnel. Truly magical. Here is a fun piece of history for you. Do you know when Japan Hanami flower viewing tradition started? The origin goes back about 1,300 years to the Nara period. And here is the surprising part. Back then, people were viewing plum blossoms, not cherry blossoms. It was during the Heian period, around 900 CE, that the imperial court shifted its focus to cherry blossoms. In classical Japanese literature, the word for flower simply meant cherry blossoms by default. That tells you how beloved they were. The tradition of flower viewing spreading to ordinary people came during the Edo period, about 400 years ago. The shogun Tokugawa Yoshimune planted Suma Yoshino trees throughout Edo, specifically so that commoners could enjoy them too. Ueno Park was one of those original planting sites. So when we visit Ueno today, we are continuing a tradition nearly 300 years old. That is pretty amazing, right? Now let me also recommend some useful apps and tools for planning. First, NHK Hanami Map. NHK releases an interactive cherry blossom map every spring, showing bloom status and predicted peak dates for each area. It is completely free and the information is very accurate. Second, Weather News Sakura Forecast. This is from a Japanese weather company. Beyond bloom predictions, they collect real-time reports from regular people. Users upload photos from their local areas, so you can see what a specific spot actually looks like today. That kind of real-time ground truth is incredibly useful. Third, of course, Google Maps. Most people know this one. But during cherry blossom season, when you search for a destination, you can see photos uploaded by recent visitors. Those photos have date stamps. You can see what someone photographed yesterday or this morning, and judge whether the current bloom is worth visiting. Fourth, Tablog. This is the main restaurant review app in Japan. When you are in a famous flower viewing area, many nearby restaurants offer limited period seasonal menus. Book ahead on Tablog, and your whole flower viewing experience becomes that much more complete. One more thing before we move on. Do your homework before you go. Most people heading to Tokyo only know about Ueno and Shinjuku Gyoen. But every city has hidden gems. For example, Rikujian Garden in Tokyo has a weeping cherry tree over 200 years old. The presence of that ancient tree is completely different from younger trees. There is something powerful and almost meditative about it. And Hamarikyu Gardens near Tokyo Bay is an Edo period royal garden, with a traditional tea house where you can enjoy matcha while viewing cherry blossoms with a view of Tokyo Bay. The contrast of ancient garden design and modern skyline creates a really unique visual experience. So before your trip, beyond reading travel guides, search YouTube for Hanami vlogs from previous years. Real travel experiences show you so much that guidebooks simply do not capture. Okay, now for the most fun part of today. Photography secrets for stunning cherry blossom shots. So many people take cherry blossom photos that end up looking like a blob of white or pale pink. Nothing like what you actually saw with your eyes. Why does this happen? Reason number 1 is overexposure. Flowers are light colored. When you point your camera at them, the automatic settings try to balance the overall brightness. And often the flowers end up looking washed out and white. The color is completely lost. The fix is simple. When you take the shot, tap on the flower itself to set your focus and metering point. Then manually lower the exposure value slightly. This lets the actual color of the petals come through properly. Secret number 2 is finding the right light. The best times to photograph flowers are 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the morning, or 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. in the afternoon. At these times, the sun is at an angle, creating side lighting that gives petals dimension and a beautiful transparent glow. Midday direct sunlight makes everything look flat. There is no depth or texture. Secret number 3. Use your background strategically. The flowers are beautiful, but the background matters even more. Blue sky and white clouds behind pink flowers creates incredible color contrast. Dark ancient architecture as background makes the flowers look elegant and refined. And if there is water with reflections, that is just bonus beauty points. So before you start shooting, look around and observe. Choose the best background angle. Then compose your shot. Secret number 4 is low angle upward shooting. Most people photograph flowers from a straight on angle, or slightly from the side. But if you crouch down low and shoot upward with blue sky as your background, the shape and form of the branches and flowers really comes alive. This angle works especially well for weeping cherry varieties. The result almost looks like a classical ink painting. Secret number 5. Capturing falling petals in flight. When a gentle breeze blows, petals dancing in the air is such a magical sight. But many people do not know how to capture it well. To freeze petals mid-flight, set your shutter speed to about 1/1000 of a second or faster. This freezes the petals in place. If you are using a smartphone, use burst mode. Shoot dozens of frames rapidly. Then choose the frame where the petals look best. Secret number 6. Add a person to give the photo a story. Pure flower shots are gorgeous, but adding a human figure gives the image emotion and narrative. When photographing someone under the cherry trees, have them look at the flowers rather than at the camera, or have them turn slightly away. This actually looks more natural and creates a much more beautiful storytelling composition. And here is a tip most people overlook. Rainy day flower photography. Many people give up going out when it rains, but flowers after rain are actually stunning. Raindrops clinging to petals look like sparkling diamonds, and puddle reflections of the trees create a completely different atmosphere, one you simply cannot capture on sunny days. Plus, rainy days have fewer tourists, so you have much more freedom to compose your shots. One more photography tip before we move on. Try using zoom to compress the trees. When you zoom in from a distance, the layers of cherry blossom trees stack together, creating an incredibly dense and lush wall of flowers. Some of the most dramatic flower photos are shot this way, with people or buildings in the foreground for scale. Another technique worth trying is silhouette photography. In the early morning or late afternoon, position yourself with the brightest part of the sky behind the tree. Set your exposure for the sky, not the tree. This turns the branches and blossoms into a dark silhouette against a warm glowing background. The result is incredibly artistic and dramatic, very different from a typical flower shot. You can also try what photographers call selective focus, also known as bokeh. This means focusing very closely on one flower or cluster, while letting the background blur into soft circles of color. To do this on a smartphone, use portrait mode. Or if you have a camera, use a wide aperture like f1.8 or f2.8. The sharp flower against a dreamy blurred background creates a professional-looking image that stands out beautifully. If you are there during a heavy bloom period, try lying flat on the ground and shooting straight up through the canopy. The pattern of branches and flowers against the sky creates a completely abstract and stunning composition. This one always surprises people, because it looks nothing like a typical travel photo, but it captures something profound about the feeling of being under those trees. One more thing about post-processing. Do not over-edit your cherry blossom photos. It is tempting to push the saturation, make the colors more intense and vivid, but oversaturated cherry blossom photos often look artificial and cartoonish. Cherry blossoms are naturally soft and delicate in color. The beauty is in that softness. Slight warmth, gentle clarity, subtle contrast. That is the recipe for photos that look real and beautiful at the same time. Also, do not forget to edit your photos with warm tones. Cherry blossoms naturally photograph beautifully in warm light. Adding just a little warmth in post-processing and a gentle pink tint can turn a flat photo into something truly dreamy. Free apps like Snapseed or Lightroom Mobile work great for this. They have presets designed for exactly this kind of nature photography. And one final thought on photography. Remember to put the camera down sometimes. Standing under a full-bloom tree, looking up through the branches, with petals floating down around you. That feeling in the moment. No photo will ever fully capture it. And that is actually completely fine. Some of the most precious memories live in your heart and not on your camera roll. Actually, let me expand on this thought a little, because I think it is really important. In the age of social media, there is so much pressure to document every experience, to get the perfect shot for your feed, to make your friends envious of your beautiful travel photos. And look, there is nothing wrong with wanting beautiful photos. Jenny absolutely loves photography. That is why I spent so long talking about techniques today. But the documentation of an experience should never overshadow the experience itself. In Japan, there is a concept related to hanami that I find really beautiful. It is about mono no aware, the bittersweet awareness of impermanence. Cherry blossoms bloom brilliantly for only about 2 weeks. Some years even less. A late frost can cut the season short, or heavy rain brings all the petals down overnight. That fragility is part of what makes them so precious. The Japanese people gather under the cherry trees, not just to take photos, but to sit together, to eat and drink and laugh, to feel the spring air, to be collectively aware that this beautiful moment will pass, and that its passing is part of what makes it beautiful. I think that is a wisdom we can all use. Whatever your spring travel looks like this year, whether you are going to Japan or Taiwan, or just visiting a local park, try to have at least one moment where you truly stop. Stop documenting, stop planning, stop rushing, and just be there, feeling the season, smelling the blossoms, watching the petals drift. That moment of genuine presence is the real destination. Let me share a few more practical spring travel tips. These small things make a huge difference to the experience. First one, always bring a power bank, because you will be taking photos constantly, checking maps constantly. Your phone battery drains incredibly fast. Bring at least a 10,000 mAh power bank. This is absolutely essential. Do not leave the hotel without it. Second, dress in layers. Spring might look warm, but mornings and evenings can be quite cold, especially in parks or mountain areas. Always bring a light jacket you can put on and take off easily. And wear comfortable walking shoes. Trust me, comfortable shoes are 100 times more important than stylish ones. When you are walking 10 or 15 kilometers a day, your feet will be grateful. Third, hay fever awareness. Taiwan and Japan in spring have a lot of pollen in the air. Cedar pollen is the main culprit in Japan from February to April. If you have allergies, prepare antihistamine medication in advance. Japanese drugstores also sell hay fever-specific products, including special goggles and masks. These are all easy to find locally. If you know you are sensitive to tree pollen, really do prepare before you go. Fourth, here is the most underrated way to upgrade your flower viewing experience. Bring a packed lunch for a picnic. In Japanese this is called hanami bento, the flower viewing lunch. It is a traditional Japanese custom going back centuries. Pick up a beautiful bento from a convenience store or supermarket. Find a gorgeous tree. Spread out your picnic mat. And enjoy the moment slowly. Watch the petals fall around you. Listen to the birds and the breeze. This kind of happiness is honestly better than any fancy restaurant. It costs almost nothing, but the memory lasts forever. Fifth, one experience Jenny personally thinks is absolutely worth it. Nighttime flower viewing. Many famous cherry blossom spots have evening illuminations. In Japanese this is called yazakura, which means night cherry blossoms. The lit-up flowers against the night sky create a completely different mood from daytime. Mysterious and romantic. Ueno Park in Tokyo, the moat area around Osaka Castle. These nighttime flower viewing experiences are truly unforgettable. If you only have time for one evening activity during your entire trip, make it this one. Sixth tip. Budget a little extra for seasonal food experiences. Japan especially is full of Sakura-themed limited edition treats during flower season. Sakura lattes, Sakura mochi, Sakura soft serve ice cream. Sakura-themed sweets in almost every convenience store and bakery. These seasonal treats are genuinely delicious, and very much part of the whole spring experience. Leave some room in your budget to enjoy them without guilt. Seventh tip. Download offline maps before you fly. Google Maps allows you to download specific areas for offline use. Cherry blossom season means parks and streets are extremely crowded. And sometimes mobile networks are slow because everyone is uploading photos at the same time. Having offline maps means you can navigate without any connection at all. This simple preparation saves so much stress. Alright, let me take some time to summarize all the key points from today, because there is a lot of great information in this episode, and I want to make sure you leave with a clear action plan. Point 1. Use the Sakura Front forecast to time your trip. Learn when your target areas peak, and plan your route to match the blooming season. Remember, if you have flexible dates, you can chase the blossoms from southern Japan all the way to Hokkaido, and enjoy nearly 3 weeks of continuous flower season. A quick reminder on the timing. Kyushu and Shikoku bloom around mid to late March. Kyoto and Osaka around late March to early April. Tokyo around late March to early April. Tohoku around mid-April. Hokkaido around late April to early May. Plan accordingly. Point 2. Book flights and hotels super early. 6 months minimum in advance. Ideally a full year if possible. Always choose free cancellation options. Give yourself flexibility for weather changes. Compare prices across Google Flights, Skyscanner, and airline websites. Set price alerts so you can catch deals. Point 3. Consider staying near the flower spots. Not just in the city center. Experiencing early morning flower viewing before the crowds arrive is one of those travel memories that genuinely changes your life. Point 4. For photography, manage your exposure carefully. Flowers are light-colored and cameras overexpose them easily. Tap the flower to set your metering point, and manually reduce exposure slightly. Find good morning or afternoon light for dimension and glow. Use backgrounds strategically. Try low-angle shots for dramatic compositions. Use zoom from a distance to compress the flowers into a dense wall of blooms. Do burst mode to capture falling petals. And do not skip rainy days. They create unique and beautiful shots you cannot get any other way. Point 5. Pack the essentials. Power bank, comfortable walking shoes, allergy medication, and a picnic mat. Download offline maps before you fly. Budget for seasonal sakura treats because they are wonderful. And plan at least one evening of Yazakura nighttime flower viewing. I also want to leave you with one final thought. Cherry blossom season in Japanese is called hanami, which literally means flower viewing. But the deeper cultural meaning goes beyond just looking at flowers. In Japanese culture, cherry blossoms are a symbol of the beautiful and fleeting nature of life. The Japanese word for this concept is mono no aware, which roughly translates to the gentle sadness of passing things, or the bittersweet beauty of impermanence. Cherry blossoms bloom magnificently for only about 2 weeks, and then they fall. That very brevity is what makes them so precious, and so beautiful. This is actually a profound lesson for all of us. The most beautiful moments in life are often the most fleeting. A perfect spring day under blooming trees, surrounded by the people you love, petals drifting down like pink snow. That moment is perfect precisely because it will end. Cherish it while it is here. So whether you are planning to go to Japan this spring, or Taiwan, or even just sitting in a park somewhere watching the season change, I hope this episode has inspired you to be more intentional about enjoying the beautiful fleeting moments that each spring brings to us. Year of the Horse is here. This is your year to be bold, to run toward the adventures you have been putting off, to book that trip, plan that picnic under the cherry trees, and make some memories that will last a lifetime. That is all for today, Jenny Weekend Chat. Happy Lunar New Year. May the year of the horse bring you incredible luck, health, and adventures. Go chase those cherry blossoms. Have a wonderful weekend. See you next time.